Okay, well, good morning, and thank you for coming to Modulis on this rainy morning, so we cannot do anything about that. We are Modulis. We are not just designers and manufacturers of flooring solutions. We want to be part and facilitate the discussions about the trends that they are shaping the future of architecture and design. And that's why during the year we organize what we call Modulis Talks, where we invite industry experts to share their ideas and their thoughts about those trends and what the future of interior design is going. So, no better occasion than Tackle Design Week. We have today with us Silvia Rueda from Heatherwick Studio, where she's a specialist, immersive media specialist, and she's going to share with us how the use of VR technology has evolved over the last couple of years, and how we can utilize that technology into design and architecture. So without more delays, I'll pass it on to Silvia, and then after her talk we'll have an opportunity for some Q&A. So thank you very much. Silvia, the floor is yours.
Hello everybody, I'm Silvia Rueda. Very nice to meet you all. The presentation is going to be focused on VR, yes, but as well in interoperability and basically what we do in the studio with immersive media. So let's start. What is immersive media? I will tell you in a second. First, my name. If you want to follow in LinkedIn and ask more questions, go do it. So I am Colombian, love it. I have been here in London for around 8 years already, did my master's here, and then I started as a normal architect, even a bit more of a landscape designer in Heatherwick Studio. And then we realized that it was quite hard to visualize landscape, so that's why I jumped into immersive media. So I'm going to tell you why we did that and why it's very important to use real-time technology and VR and immersive technologies to visualize it. So normally I help out end-of-stage projects with animations, walkthroughs, AR, VR, and yeah, basically to make design decisions quite fast. So we are Heatherwick Studio. We are 250 people in the center of King's Cross in London. Come and visit us. We have a very nice new workspace, so please come. We are makers. We love craftsmanship and making. So like our workshop is basically the heart of our studio. So that's why we design with great positive social impact, and we want to make design soulful and interesting in different sort of places around the world. We do any type of scale, any type of typology, and anywhere. So that means that we need to adapt to everything that comes along. So we need to be versatile and be able to make design decisions quite fast. We can see that we have a lot of variety in projects, from chairs to massive museums in Cape Town. As well, if you are going to be around King's Cross, go to Cold Drops. This is a super nice space as well. Some 1,000 trees in Shanghai and the vessel in New York. So understanding our portfolio of projects, now I'm going to tell you what is immersive media. Basically, we use these software tools in our day-to-day basis, but we're going to focus on Unreal Engine and Twinmotion. Why is it? Because it's the best one ever, and we should all use it. Basically, what we do is render views, videos, 360s, VR, that we're going to dig a bit deeper. Interoperability, this is the key part, basically is how the softwares talk to each other, and it's easy for them to import geometry. I did as well a lot of training. AI, of course, everybody's doing AI, and you guys will have a talk later on this topic, and XR. So, in terms of VR, we love it. We normally use VR in most of our design client presentation and design iterations. It's a very immersive platform where everybody will be able to see the scale live. You can see here that as well our veterans are on the Oculus and having like their own experience. Even though, hopefully, you don't get angry about it, we think that this is a bit solitary. So you are in your Oculus and you are basically in your virtual world. So how to make this a bit of a more collaborative tool? So we believe that the heart of the future is going to be in XR, basically mixed realities, where we will be augmenting our reality through our Vision Pro or a layer of digital assets that we will have in our eyes, and then we will be experiencing our XR or AR, augmented reality technologies. We have done this with, for example, here we were trying to solve the scale of a lift button. So we were putting the lift button on site, and we were understanding if this was the correct scale. And just by being able to see our door and understanding the scale, that will make an easier decision for us to make. As well, we are taking our HoloLens to site and coordinating with our structural engineers if everything has been going into place. So we believe that this is the future, and we want to try to push it alongside it. I cannot show a few of the stills that I want to tell you because of privacy issues, but we believe as well that we should have some sort of immersive room, 360 room, where we will not need to add our like technology in our heads. It will be just around us, and we can have like a communal discussion about our geometry or our design. As well, in terms of AI, of course, everybody has been using Midjourneys. We use it since moment zero, so we have like our own platform for Midjourneys, and as well our in-house platform to do this AI optioneering. But what we have done why we are using it quite a lot is to create textures. So we just zoom out and we scale it out, and that's how we create some nice textures. I'm going to focus this conversation in landscape because I feel that it's underrated in terms of how to visualize it. So how we are using Midjourneys into landscape design. We just put a very nice prompt understanding like what we want to create. This is not our design, but if we just go and do zoom out, we already have like a super natural environment with just one click, where as soon as we can crop this in Photoshop and put our own option, and that's how we will just create in 5 minutes a very nice and accurate landscape pre-concept image. So as well, at Heatherwick Studio, we love storytelling, and I think our sketches has been the best way to tell these stories. So exploring different type of sketching, pure sketching, or renders over, painting over some renders. This has been like one of the best ways to show a client a design. So what we wanted to do is try to implement in our immersive media software, that is Unreal, this sort of template, hand sketch template, where you can change the shaders, where you can change the color of the shadows, the stroke of basically in sketching, you will have like a line around most of the geometry, so that's how you will just create this sort of template. A game changer for us was, I don't know if you are aware of Rhino and Grasshopper, but normally it's quite hard to make Grasshopper be visualized if you don't bake it. So using Mindesk, we managed to make Grasshopper talk to Unreal, the real-time platform, so that live, you don't need to bake any sort of geometry. It will just talk live to the most powerful visualization tool at this point, that is, in my opinion, Unreal. So we wanted to test out the sun and how it was entering the sun depending on the amount of slats of the shaders, and as well the angle of it. So just moving it in Grasshopper will make us make a design decision quite fast. And what we have been using a lot at this point is Spaceform, which is as well run by Unreal. So it's basically it's a small metaverse. I don't like to say this word, but it's true. It's a virtual software where you can jump in VR or in your laptop or in your phone, and you will be able to explore your own project and be able to have different options of materials. You can annotate in 3D as well. If you are closer to the avatar, you will be talking to the avatar. If you are further away, you will not hear it. That means that people will have different conversations inside of your model. So take a look at it. They are doing a great job. We have been working with them for other collaborations that you will see in a second. And yeah, you can as well measure, and then these sort of annotations and reviews will stay in the platform. So even if you were not allowed to connect, you can be anywhere in the world as well. Like we were testing this with some guys that were in New York and other ones in China. So we were just having a conversation in our project. So if the team leader didn't manage to enter, then these sort of annotations will live there, and then they can come and review it as well. So basically, yeah, we will be all living in this virtual world eventually. And then, in terms of animation, I'm going to focus again mostly about landscape because that's what we love. I'm going to show you most of our projects that have landscape, but this is the sort of animations that we deliver, being very specific on the sort of planting that we are trying to achieve on all of our projects. This was a project in Milan, which we didn't win, but it was awesome. This was a project in Vancouver, so it was quite important for us to be able to show different weathers. In Canada, it rains quite a lot, so of course the mood of the animation needs to change as well. This was a canopy that needed very specific reflections, and using other software it is quite impossible to reach this quality. So that's why we are creating different templates depending on the design subject. So for example, we have an interior template where just the interior team will be able to showcase the how do you call it, the sofas and the armchairs that they already selected, and they will be able to just import the geometry and have already the template of the assets that are already curated for Hedwig to use. But I'm going to talk about the landscape one in a second. So we can conclude that we focus on the future of human-centered design, exploring technologies, tools, and materials that make this possible. So a bit of the landscape integration part of the design. You can see that we use landscape in all of our projects. Doesn't matter the scale of it. This is in Tokyo, a massive park, and then this is in Shanghai, 1,000 trees, so it's quite a lot of trees. Medium scale as well, Eden project, and then Little Island in New York, all full of landscape. And then small projects, Maggie's Yorkshire, and our new glass house. This is all in UK, so if you want to visit, go and do it. They're beautiful, and as well, full of landscape. So how did we back in the days visualize landscape when we were not using immersive media and new technologies? So basically, normally, as I think most of you will do, will be just go and have a render and then put it in Photoshop and then add some planting. But that it's not accurate to what a Revit schedule of a landscape designer will show us. So how to do that? You can see here a massive difference of this is Little Island, this is how it's showing, and then if we just take out the landscape, you cannot even understand the project. Like you don't know what is this. As well, it happens in this Abu Dhabi park, where you can see the geometry and you can vaguely understand, but when you add planting, you can understand the whole project. So our studio interoperability workflow will be, and I think you guys will be with me in this stage. In concept, basically we will be visualizing quite more than when we are in construction or detail stages, even though we will still be using our visualization tool, VR/AR, to make some design decisions. But the most important part will be in the concept and in the schematic stage. So what we compare was these three ways on why we should visualize landscape/interior design in real-time technology. So as soon as I mentioned, if we just export it from Rhino, we will have customization. Like you can add any plant in Photoshop if you want, but then what if Thomas or whoever your boss is will say like, can you move the camera to the right? Then it's impossible. Like you will lose your weekend for sure. Like you need to redo it again, and then as well adjust the plants in Photoshop. That will be insane. So it is good customization, but yeah, it's not the way to go. Then if you just render it out in V-Ray, is the best quality. Don't get me wrong. Like you will have amazing quality, but you can see the amount of polygons that have each tree. That means that as soon as you hit render, yeah, you will need to go out, do a marathon, and then come back, and then maybe the render will be out. So it's very good quality, but the time is very time consuming. And again, if they say like move the camera to the right, you will need to do it again. So astronomical time of rendering, not very useful. So what we decided is that Unreal Engine / Twinmotion was giving us all of the ticks to make it customization, real-time rendering. We had the best fidelity, we have very good quality, and you could move the camera to the right and nothing will happen. Like you still have your weekend. So the first project that we test this out was 1,000 trees in Shanghai. As mentioned, 1,000 trees, we had 1,000 trees. So how do we manage to visualize this? This is such a cute and amazing animation. This was our first animation like 8 years ago or 7 years ago. And we were so happy that we managed to see the project for the first time all in 3D, like in all of the nooks and cracks that we didn't manage to see before. We saw it. So this was, for the client, was an amazing moment, like for us as well. It took us 3 months to be able to do this. Of course, we didn't know the software. We didn't know what we were doing. Architects back in the time were not using this software. It was more for gaming, the gaming development. So it was a shot in the sky. And thank God we did it, because it was the first time that we managed to compare both of the projects, right? So from that, we have quite a lot of lessons learned. The first one, which it should apply to everything in life at this point, is to generate a template. So if you already have a template where to start, you will just be starting with, in this case, with some materials that we love. We love copper, we love concrete, so we already had those sort of materials. We generate as well a landscape asset library, so depending on where in the world is the project. So if we started a project in California, we already had a landscape library with native plants of California, / if we do it in China as well. So it will help you reduce your time on searching for assets, right? So we have the same template for interior design, as I was explaining. And then to improve the workflow, we will use Datasmith. Now we're going to use USDs, but this still works for us, so keep it in mind. And then back in the times, we used to have just one immersive model, which was very heavy. So if you wanted to change something as well, very, very complicated, you need a proper machine. So what we learned was to have different sort of projects, basically, files, where we will be able to change and as well archive what we have been doing. I don't know if you have been making like physical models, and you will archive that and will have it forever. So how can we archive a digital model? So that will be like, that's why we chose to have different sort of files. So as mentioned before, why was it important to visualize landscape? You can see it here that we use it in both of our projects, but the most important thing is, if you have never seen a landscape scope, it's quite specific. Hardscape is everything that is man-made, and softscape is everything that is live. So in that case, we can divide landscape design in four layers, but we believe that the heart of it is in the top layers that are the living components of the landscape. Without them, basically, again, you will not understand what is the landscape. Like, basically, a landscape designer will be, we cannot make any design decisions just by seeing the landform. They need to understand what are the species around it. So if you are lucky or not, I don't know, if you have been doing landscape design in Revit, which I have, so that's why, like, this is a very nice story. I was writing down by hand each of the species that were correlated to all of the areas for creating the landscape, right? So if you are lucky, maybe you will receive like a photo of the species that we just defined. And then that's it. That's how they will just create the landscape. And it was like, oh my God, how would they understand where to plant? It's impossible. So, and again, using the Rhino and Revit Photoshop strategy that we don't use anymore. So from there, we received very technical. So basically what we wanted to do is try to integrate landscape in early stages. So we wanted it to be very like high fidelity and always be accurate. And as well, we wanted to, as mentioned, like try to speak to the teams of interior design, of facade, of core, everything, so that they could make as well design decisions with the landscape part of the project. So in that case, that's why we started using Unreal. And I'm going to show you in a quick case study of this new development in Tokyo. If you're around, go and see it. It opened 2 months ago, and it's beautiful. So it's residential, retail, office, almost 7 acres of it, so it's massive. And you can see that we need as well human scale gardens and then urban scale city planting. So I'm going to show you just a bit of the central area where we wanted as well to have different sort of entry points. So we wanted cherry blossoms so that people go in. We wanted as well to have urban orchards so people could just go and grab their own apples. And as well some very nice woodland gardens. So how can we show you this one? How can we just develop a template to this? So I'm going to focus on the central courtyard. This is what we delivered. Again, the same patterns with some shrubs and mixes. Then each mix will correlate with the photos. So we did our project right. We had the photos, and then as well, we had the colors. Good for us. And then this is like a specific shrub mix like detail. And you will see as well the heights of them. And what we created was go inside real-time rendering technology. We use Unreal in this case. And we start developing the landscape assets. So even if we had the same species, just by changing the color of the leaf, we'll transform into a new species. If we just if you just take out the leaves of a tree, then it will become a winter tree. And then if we just start joining 2 species together, for example, an ivy and this beautiful plant that I don't know the name, it can now be wisteria, right? So that's how we deliver all of the mixes that I showed you before, grasses as well, and then little herbaceous as well. And then with just a few clicks, we're going to dig deeper into Unreal, which is lovely. You should all learn this software. You will just see that they are all coordinated. And then with 3 clicks, in 1 second, I will choose the species that is already in the folder. I will adjust the density, and 3 clicks, you will have a section of landscape that will be fully coordinated with your Revit intake, right? So again, just 4 clicks, and you will start just seeing the whole project being planted. And it's accurate. It's not Photoshop. It's there. It's real. This was just grasses. And then if you just move down, you can see that is there. Like it's all adjusted in terms of scale. It's all adjusted in terms of species. So, and it's coordinated as well with the architecture part of it. So in that case, very simple. You just import the sections. 3 clicks, you will have the lower planting. Then you will import as well the trees, that they will come as bubble trees. And then those trees, you can just exchange it by Unreal trees. So what I encourage everybody at this point, not just in landscape, but as well with interior design, is just to be playful and be able to have different options and not just get sold with the first one, because it's just very easy to change it. So in that case, that's why it's very important to always try to visualize things since the beginning of the project, and always, like, it should be something that you should do every day so that you are correlating with whatever is in your plans, right? And then I'm gonna tell you a bit of a story here. So stretching to the new technologies, what we have been trying to do is Twinmotion. Basically, it's the baby of Unreal. So it's a software that everybody should learn. You can learn in two hours tops. So you can do exactly the same. You can just drag and drop some planting, and you will have already like a full forest for it. We do training in the studio. And what we have been seeing quite a lot is that in these cases, we love to have still images. So you just put the camera still and then just moving people around, and it just activates the place. This is Little Island in New York. If you have not been, go for it. And then with just a still camera and maybe some cinematic sun and atmosphere, you can just make this project very visual in a second. And then what we wanted now was to try to understand how to put this project into a gameplay. So we developed, I don't know if you have played ever Fortnite. I hadn't. So it was quite fun to do this project. So we imported our Little Island project into Fortnite, and we wanted to teach everybody about our facts that make this park an amazing park. So basically, you will just go around. Yeah, there is an Easter egg. You can grab a bicycle, a motorbike. Yes, do it. But basically, you just go around collecting items. You will need to collect 10 items. Each item will ask you a question. And then if you are right, the time will reduce. If you are wrong, no, the time will increase. And if you are wrong, the time will reduce, blah, blah, blah. Like you will learn it in a second. But it's quite fun to understand that Fortnite is not just for kids in a way. Like it's for everybody. This will be live very soon. So stay tuned. And now I'm going to talk, to finish the conversation, I'm going to talk about what I have been doing. Not just in Heatherwick, it was just like, what I have been doing aside. And if you want to learn everything that I just mentioned in terms of VR and immersive media technologies, I learned it quite well in the Unreal Fellowship. This is free. Anybody can jump into the fellowship and be part of it. And the cool part is it's a boot camp, 3 weeks, and they will teach you everything that you need to know about Unreal. Normally, they will have 100 people, and you will create, so to be able to make a world building different, they will just create some attributes and just I don't know if you have played Dungeons and Dragons. I haven't, but they told me it's quite similar. So you will just run some dice, and this is how you will choose your assets, something like that. I was very lost at the beginning because the assets were totally different to the architecture world. So my assets were, you need to do a landscape in the swamp with sci-fi. I was like, what does Thomas Heatherwick think about sci-fi? Then with surrealism style, okay. And then it needed to be in concrete, okay, that I know. And then it needed to be in golden hour, and it had to have a plot twist that there was an Animalia. And I was like, oh my God, this is so fun. Finally, I can do whatever I want. So in the I took a tidy landscape swamp, Japanese project, loved it. Then in surrealism, I just took the curves of it. And then, this was a bit of a stretch, like in concrete and so on. I love just the Folly Park in Paris, so that's why I took this reference. And then in the plot twist, I love these Dali elephants, so I tried to use them. So how did I manage to do it? Took the base of the landscape, literally the same one. I just carved it inside Unreal. Then I took a very nice aesthetically model that I did in Rhino I wanted to say 5 minutes, but it's not true. I did it in a day or so, but because I wanted to make it look good, right? And then as soon as I managed to have just one object that looked good, I just multiply it and just scale it in different heights. And then from there, that's what we delivered. Basically, I delivered, no we. I managed to do it, and I was so proud of it. So this was the final outcome. You needed to present a 1-minute animation, which you can see there a hint of the animal. You can see that the architecture is exactly the same. I just moved it, I just twisted around and clustered it in different groups. They taught me how to do particles, which is very hard to use in other software that is not Unreal. They told me how to make this cinematic sunset moment to export this animation in 4K. This is the first time that I did that. Like I could project this in anywhere, and like in the cinemas if I want to. Hopefully one day, I don't know. And then of course, like this, I didn't know how to move an elephant. I rigid, like basically you need to rigid the elephant and make it move. So that was as well like a super nice thing to do. And as I mentioned, the cool part is that this is free. Anybody can just jump into the Unreal Fellowship, like apply for it, of course. And you will enter and you will just learn a lot. And that's why I encourage everybody to do it. And then apart from that, we needed to deliver a turntable. Didn't know what was that until this fellowship. Basically, you need to put a camera in the center and showcase your world. So the fellowship was world building, so that means that you need to show what is around, not just the element. Normally in architecture, like if I am in Hederick, I will show just the element. In this case, was the atmosphere. So that was fun as well. And yeah, you can see like the reflection. This was a very easy as well, like bridge that I created. 5 minutes, no, maybe an hour. And that was it. This was like the delivery. They loved it because most of the people were gamers or like game developers, so they didn't have the eye of architecture. So I will encourage as well everybody to use your architecture background and try to implement it into other fields because you are unique. We are unique. So this was like the moment where I almost cried, and it was like worth it. A random guy, which you can maybe see the name. My son has been sitting next to me and ignoring all of these scenes, but this one has completely caught his attention. That's a huge compliment from an autistic child. And I was like, yeah, this is the best thing that I can read. I don't need anything else than just changing the life of a 5-minute life of somebody that normally will not pay attention to this. And then the cool thing is that I wanted to implement this in VR. Now, if I already have it optimized, how can we just put this in the virtual space, but for everybody to use it? But in this case, what I'm trying to do this time is to make it physical. So how? Bear with me, this is super fun. I don't know if you know what is Burning Man. If you do, I'm so happy that you do know. It's basically an event in the middle of the desert of Nevada where they just present art. So 1 week event, everything is like super artistic, and there's no light, and there is like no money, and they have so many concepts around how to treat people, and it's amazing. I went last year and it changed my life. So I wanted to try to come this year, but have like an art installation. So this is Burning Man. This is just 800 people from scratch. They do this every year. From like you cannot leave no trace. So there is no. This is a natural reserve, so you cannot leave anything. And basically, all the art pieces are around here. They celebrate creativity. This is made by BIG, so you can see that as well. Architects go to these events. They celebrate self-expression. Everybody is a bit like, yeah, you can dress whatever you want to dress with, or no, whatever you want. They celebrate community. This is the most important part of it. And as well, they celebrate architecture and art. So the cool part is that we got inspired with the mushroom concept, the colors of it, the cluster of it, how you can be, like in Colombia, we say when you are alone, that you feel like a mushroom. So it makes sense that our module that was just created by like one sexy curve, we could duplicate it and have friends. So that's why we wanted to, there. So we wanted to propagate mushrooms. So this is the same module that represents now a mushroom. Then we just spread it all like around this place, and we have 4 different sizes of mushrooms, and that's how we created our new installation that is going to be living in Burning Man. So a bit more. There, play, please. Okay, it's not playing, it's fine. What I wanted to tell you is that so even if you have a very interesting design, you can just adjust it to fit most of the purposes. So in this case, we wanted as well to take shade from the sun. This is as well done in Unreal and Twinmotion. So all real-time rendering technologies. we needed to visualize it in VR to understand the scale, because people need to be under it and on top of it. Things that are very important in Burning Man as well are the sunset and the sunrise, and as well we wanted it to be illuminated at night because there is no light. So we are celebrating the structure that normally in architecture we are hiding it. So this is our project. If you want to donate, we will love for you guys to help out. But yeah, this is the presentation. Any questions? I'm here to answer.
I think when you project in cinemas, we all want to be there. Definitely. I think you've changed our bucket list. There are many things we want to learn about and events that we want to attend. So, any questions for Silvia?
Don't be shy. I'm friendly. Any questions? Maybe a few things that I can tell you a bit of the studio, or like how they utilize my time. Normally a project will come, maybe I'm gonna talk over like a project of Hedderwick, 1 second. Normally they will tell me to be at the start of each project. So they will, 1 second, here, this one. So they will tell me to import the context, and immediately like the magic starts. Even if they don't have options of geometry, with just a plugin with interoperability, I will be able to visualize all of the options in just seconds. So they will be able to just put the Oculus and understand that this option is very out of scale. We love human scale, so that's when they will start just trying to reduce the geometry so that it's understanding in eye level and then make it bigger. So from the start, that's how we start utilizing VR immediately. We love optioneering, so that's why it's important for us to have a platform that allows these changes quite fast. This is Spaceform and Unreal for us, Twinmotion as well, and Enscape. Don't get me wrong, we use the 4 of them. And then for final client presentation, we take around a week to develop the whole project so that it's super optimized. Anybody can jump in. I remember clients being very hesitant to put the headset at the beginning. Then I will just ask a designer from Hedderwick, put it on. They will put it on, and then the client will be, right, now I wanted to see it. So that's how we just break the ice in a way. And as I mentioned, next step will be just to have the 360 room where nobody needs to put anything on, and you can immerse yourself around your project. And it has been successful. We have done it, and we want to push it forward. But it's a bit expensive, but it's fine.
Can I just ask, who's on your project team? You're creating all these models. So it's the architect and the landscaper.
So it will be a team, depending on what project it is. It will be a team around of 5 people, like project leader, 2 designers, and if they are smart, they will put a landscape designer, and then I will come to help. I will be jumping from project to project. So normally I will have live at least 5 projects where there's a designer that as well is an immersive media star or knows how to implement these technologies, and with my help we will just try to visualize it every week. So normally I will come every week to each project and try to help them make a design decision.
I see you use Enscape on there. Why would you use Enscape over Twinmotion? Is it because you've already done a lot of work in Revit, or you've used Twinmotion for Revit anyway, so why?
So Enscape, we use it every day of our lives. Like everybody is using Enscape. We design in Rhino, and then for schedules and like delivery, we use Revit. So it has been a very important tool because they don't need like a super powerful computer. They just open it in their own laptops and they can take screen grabs quite easy. So it's when we want to push it a bit further in terms of visualization and landscape, because in Enscape you just need to drag and drop each species. And if you are planting a massive field, it will take forever. So it's that point where if you want to have this sort of outcome, then we put it into Twinmotion or Unreal. But normally, every day, we use Enscape immediately.
Is Revit always the base model, so to speak?
It's Rhino. Rhino is the base model. And then for delivery, as in plan sections, and if we want to coordinate with external consultants, it's Revit. So if I go to the slide of where we use what, you can see it quite clearly here, that one.
So does Revit and Rhino, do they work well together in terms of converting?
They do. I'm not, like, I was delivering in Revit back in the times, but yeah, we have like a BIM team that's their own job to make this conversation easy. If we have very specific and complicated geometry, we will use Dynamo, I think it's the plugin, so that we can import that complex geometry. Sometimes it's quite hard to just do it directly inside Revit because we have quite a lot of curves, and yeah, for concept stages, we just need to quickly have options that normally are made in Grasshopper. So that's why, like, our tool is Rhino and Grasshopper. Other questions?
I just was curious about at what stage you come in. I know you said you come in like really early on, but like, does it really need like that much detail from the start, or like of designing options, or do you like come in later when you're delivering final presentations, or are there like other ways that you guys design?
Correct. So normally I will come at the beginning to just set the context. And like in Unreal, we have this plugin that is literally bringing Google Maps into the set. So it's very useful. Like, for example, we did a project in Colombia, in Bogota, which has massive mountains. So our building design was focused on understanding the views from most of our terraces. So we needed to see it. That's why I will put the context, nothing in it, and then they will just start importing options. Then normally you will have percentage, like 50% delivery. That's when I come in again, and I will import the freeze geometry and visualize it for client. And then for 100%, I will come again. But because we already have a trajectory and I already more or less know the materials and already have the context, then my time every time is less. If I come at the end, then I will have to do everything that I just did in 2 months in a week. And yeah, that comes with burnout and etc. So that's why, it should be from the start, ideally. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but ideally.
It's like the architect would be building the model, for example, and then you would be importing it?
Correct. So with Datasmith, it just has a direct link. So it can live live in Rhino/Revit, and with a direct link that if you change any geometry in Rhino or Revit, it visualizes immediately in Twinmotion or Unreal. So that direct link helps us make design decisions quite easy. So important to have a direct link. If not, like, you are just making your project heavier and heavier with new geometry every time.
I have one more.
Tell me.
I was wondering, like, you know how architects, they like to make a bunch of iterations or like different options? Does that are you able to handle that in the software to like have a lot of different options?
Correct. So for that, if we want to experience it in VR without being like sick in terms of like having a super optimized model, we use Spaceform. So the guys that I showed you at the beginning, which is a platform run in Unreal again. So this one. Why we are using them? Because they have a very unique and very fast way of optimizing the model. And what happens is that we enter into this platform with Oculus or with whatever you want to enter to, and then with just one click being able to toggle between options. So in VR. So that's quite, if you do it in Twinmotion or in Enscape, like the computer will be thinking, and then you need to turn on the option, and sometimes the experience just goes away. If you don't have a good experience in VR, it can be very bad experience. Like it needs to be good, or just don't do it. So that's why geometry needs to be super optimized. So that's why we use these guys. If it's just quick iterations in Enscape, then sometimes what we do is bake the Enscape model so that it's not running live, and that's how we toggle. Like we open one model, then we open the other one, and then we open the other one. We have 3 options, and that's how we visualize them. Even though if it's just a small scale project, you can just turn on and off the layers in Rhino and still visualize it in your VR. But like you can correct like, the next speaker that is just focused on VR, like he can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's very important to have a good experience in VR. If not, you will not enjoy it. It's just no. You need to be very, very. You need to first see it yourself. Like normally, my workflow will be me trying it out. It's not glitchy, perfect. That's when I show it to the director. If not, I will not even go closer because it's not a good experience. So that's why we should be thinking about doing a mixed reality, XR. The Vision Pro for sure is going to change a lot of lives, and a 360 room as well. Like you don't need to have the technology on you; it should be around you. But yeah.
What is that called? Sorry.
What's that software?
It's called Spaceform.
Spaceform.
Yeah.
That's the optimizer.
Yeah. It's run by Unreal as well. So because we already use Unreal, what we do is just send the Unreal model, fully planted, like with people and so on, and they will just optimize it for us. And then if we want to have some like material decision, they will code it, and we will just be able to just toggle between the options. Yes.
So is it done through a projector?
Sorry?
Is it projection in the room without the VR?
The 360 room, it will be like a 360 room where it has, I don't know, 10 projectors, and that's how you will get immersed. I don't know if you have seen Lightroom in King's Cross. If not, I will encourage to go. There is a very nice exhibition of the moon, I think. And that's how they will do it. Like normally we'll have I don't know, they have more than 5, of course. It's a room like it's 20 meters times 18 meters times 12 meters tall. So it's a very immersive space. And they just project on the 4 walls and on the floor. So you will just be, you just walk into your space. And what we did was scale the project. We were using another project that was an icon, and we scale it 1-to-1, so we could approach the project in 1-to-1, and was like, wow, it's so big, we need to scale it down. But yeah. Yeah. Other questions?
Well, I was wondering, I mean, just like historically, I know architects, they didn't have like VR, they just like presented with like CAD drawings. Or,
Yeah.
And then now we're almost like having to do all this extra work to like visualize and like convince the client. I was just wondering, do you think it only makes sense for like a bigger scale project to like do this kind of thing?
No. Yeah.
For the amount of time spent and energy.
So that's my key role in the studio. So to people not like put their extra time of designing on visualizing. Normally they will call me, and that's what I help with. So I agree that we should not spend that much time in doing a render or whatever. So that's why these softwares allowed us to reduce that time as well. If you have the direct link, you will not be thinking of changing like the next option. It's already there if you just have the direct link. So with technology, we have been reducing the time of doing this sort of end visuals. In the future, everything will be way more optimized, where you just have your whole palette. That's why we created our own template, so that as well it's easier for me to start a project, depending on where in the world it is. And we will be able to make it this faster. It will be just some sort of plugin inside Rhino that, as Enscape, if you have used Enscape, it's very easy to start on it. Like it doesn't take more than 5 minutes to see what you are visualizing. And yeah, every time you will need to understand more the world of 3D, for sure. I'm not saying that you need to do a whole metaverse, don't get me wrong, but everything will be more three-dimensional for you to make a design decision more accurate. So we do use it as well for objects, or at least the augmented reality technology, we use it for objects to understand the scale of it. So if you're doing a sponge, you need to do it. Like you normally do it with a model, like a physical model, and you will understand it. So why not to have a digital one? Any questions? Okay, there is no more questions.
Silvia.
No problem.
Everyone is very engaged. So,